All right, how you doing? So today we are going to talk about Photoshop as a verb, kind of. So a lot of people say I'm going to Photoshop, or can you Photoshop that picture? Really, what we're going to go over today talks about that, and that's using effects and using patches and all kinds of tools that are available in Photoshop to clean pictures up or to do some really cool creative things as far as changing colors or putting crazy backgrounds behind some normal photos or all kinds of effects like that, as well as doing some things that'll allow your pictures to display really well on websites, as well as create some things in Photoshop using images, but also talk about the different effects and things available in Photoshop for different items that you might want to display on your website, like buttons or anything of that nature. So now we can get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is take a look at down here at this tab, and it's very important to understand layers and masks and how that works. So the first thing we're going to do is just explore this tab right here briefly. We're not going to go through every button, but it is not a waste of time to play around with this and kind of click on these things to see what they do. You'll notice that the first image that's in here is background and is locked. Just like saving your images before you edit them or do anything like that, you can certainly unlock that if you want and do everything you want to it. But one of the things I just do, I don't know if it's best practice or not, but it's not right. It's not very hard to right click on this, and you get a lot of really interesting choices here. But when you right click on it and you duplicating layers is a very, very common thing to do. And then another thing you'll notice is that, and we'll get into this a little bit more, but you can turn off the visibility of different layers by hitting the little eyeball. So if I turn them both off, we won't have anything there. But and then I often get confused. Sometimes I'll turn things off and I'll feel like I selected it. Selecting it doesn't necessarily mean that, or turning an eyeball on and off doesn't mean that you've selected anything. You'll see this more later, but you'll notice that when I have this background layer selected with the lock indicator turned on, that some of the options here are not available. Some are, but some are not available. But like I said, I'm just going to go with this layer right here, and you'll see that I can drag it and move it and change the size and things of that nature, and do what I want to it here. So that's the first thing I want to go over, is just creating a new. You can come down here and create a new layer by clicking on this button right here, and that'll create a blank layer with nothing on it, and we'll do that for various reasons later. Okay, moving right over is you can create a new group, and that it gives you a way to organize things when this becomes complex and you have layers and layers and layers. You can organize them into groups so that you can minimize them, turn groups of images on and off as far as visibility goes, and things of that nature. So create a new fill or adjustment layer. So again, we're going to act like we don't have anything. A fill layer, the easiest way to explain it, you got gradients and patterns. But if I just wanted a layer of red, if I just wanted a layer of red, I could create a red layer. And now I can reorganize things by dragging them up and down. I can put the green leaves in front of the red layer. I could, and then you'll notice that the layers behind it, I can make all kinds of adjustments there. One other thing you can do here is create a layer based on one color in here that you want to highlight. You can darken everything else. For instance, I can create a duplicate layer here and create a layer mask on a color range, and I can pick one of the stronger colors here. Okay, so we'll go with that and hit OK. and then we'll apply it, and it's that part right there. That, like I said, duplicate, turn that off, and then what we can do with the background, and so you can see the effect. I'll go in here and make it dark. That's the effect I want. And then what you'll notice is that when I turn those colors on, it gives it an interesting effect, you know. So we could do it the other way around too. Where and you can do some slight stuff, you know, where it's just a little brighter, and this one is just a little darker. It's that compared to this, you know, and you're giving it, you know, you're working with some images with masks in order to pick out a color or what. All right, so something else we can do is we can go in here and use our quick select tool. There we go. And select some things in the middle here that we really want the viewer to focus on. Maybe to that extent right there. And you can create a really cool effect, but first, what you want to do is you can, and we'll get to that in a second, but we can do select and mask right here. All right. So I have this selected again. We can change smoothness a little bit and feather a little bit if you want. And you've got your transparency at 51%. But right here, output to selection, we can, what I'd like to do is output new layer with a layer mask. All right, so when I hit OK, all right, now I've got a new layer with a layer mask right here. And what I can do now, so it's eliminated the rest of this. So here's your background, here's your image. And what I want to do is I want to take the background and make it kind of fuzzy. So there's a lot of ways to do it. Exaggerate so you can see what it does. So I make the background fuzzy, and then I add that selection, and it gives you a really cool kind of focus there that you can do on people and faces and other things like that. So that's using layer mask in order to create some cool effects on your image. Okay, the next thing I do need to make sure that you understand is that you can create just normal vector masks. You can create a mask out of anything. So I could create just a square right here and hit select and mask maybe. There we go. All right, I had to select the image, right, or the layer, but I can hit select and mask. I can change all of my settings right here, but basically, again, if I hit a new layer with mask, hit OK, and now I've got this set up. Now, the cool thing about this is I can move the picture around. Let's try again. Oh, I know. All right. So if I unlink the mask, I can actually move the picture around, or I can move the mask around, and I can move the picture around behind the mask. All right, so either way will work, and that's kind of a pretty cool thing to understand. Maybe I'm just trying to create some artwork and I want to take a piece of that. Again, I can hit select the mask and new layer, layer mask, new layer with layer mask. And what you'll see is that you've created, you know, just some artwork out of another picture. And it's a cool way to do that. So another way to do that using layers, which I did for years. Again, you can, what I would do is whatever you want to do here. And then right here you can hit new layer via copy or new layer via cut. It's a little different than the way Mask works, but you can see that it does basically the same thing. The only difference is with, and we'll kind of order these. With cut, you can get, and you see a little bit of a line there. So there's a lot of purposes to do either one, but with Mask, it's just a little bit different effect. And the big thing about creating a new layer with Mask that you don't get with Cut is being able to do all of the extra settings. So, you know, if I go in here, there we go. All right. So I can create a select a mask here too, and I guess what I'm trying to get to is that you have all of these extra settings that if you do a layer with cut or copy that you don't have, and you also can create a whole new picture or a whole new image from this, which is also handy too. So you know, select a mask using a layer mask is a whole lot more useful way in order to take pieces of a image and create something out of that, but both settings are available. So just thought I'd let you know, and that's how you use Mask. Since we're talking about layers and masks and things of that nature, finishing up here using the quick select tool to kind of outline an Abraham Lincoln. This is also a common thing for websites, because maybe you have a background of the site, but you want Abraham and Lincoln on there, but you don't want the background. You just want his monument. And I'm not going to get it perfect, but I have been working on it for a little bit. And the idea here is that I've gone around and selected President Lincoln, trying to get the majority of what we're going on here. And you know, it's good enough for what we're doing here. So zoom out and let you kind of see that I've got Abraham Lincoln and his background removed. Very common use here, and what I'll do is I'll go to select and mask, and what it'll do is it removes the background for me and create a new document with layer mask. Again, I may not have gotten the edges perfect, so I can play with feather a little bit, but really what I want is smooth up to 100. So it smooths those edges out that I selected, and I'll hit OK. What it's going to do for me is create a whole new document that I can now edit. It kept the layer. The layer is here. So as you can see, so I can move the layer around. I can move the layer of picture around. I can deselect this. I can move the, you know, I don't know why I would do that, but you can see that layer is still active is my point. And I can if I want, if I need to do any more work, I can. I can increase feathering and do some other stuff here. I could apply it, make it one image, and now that layer is gone. And I can use this now in order to put onto my website, and you'll see that the background is removed. So whatever I have on that website, colors or other things going on, will go ahead and display because it's transparent as long as I export this image into a proper format. So there you go. and that's how you use Layer Mask in order to remove backgrounds to prepare images for your website.